my name is Carvahole. I am here with the Darkest Dungeon modded class review for the Exile. Just came out by Badger, and I think this is one of the most polished classes out there. It's really well made, well put together, and there's nothing poorly done about it. Like, everything, like trinkets are useful, skills are all good and have their place. There's multiple ways to play him. This is a really well-made class. So, starting with his stats, you have 54 HP, which is top tier for the base average, compared to the average on the base classes. 20 dodge is a minimum. Doesn't really matter though, honestly. Sometimes you want this guy getting hit. 5 speed is below average, and I don't like it. Sometimes it's useful on this guy to have low speed, honestly. So I'm not actually complaining about this as much as I normally would. 9 crit is exceptionally high. 10 to 14 damage is actually really good. It's about average, but he has a lot of really damaging abilities. 100 stun resist is above average. 80 blight is bottom of the barrel. 90 bleed is average. 100 debuff is above average. 100 move is above average. 100 trap disarm is top. You're going to get like 95%ers on this guy with trap disarms. Really great. He is below average disease, and he doesn't actually move forward or backward normally. What he has a thing called Tides of War, which gives him a 50% chance to just switch spots with whoever the fuck he wants to, which is actually quite nice. This allows, a lot of his skills are dependent on movement, and they move him. So being able to go into your desired position can be nice. Downside though is if you're in position 2 and you want to use this ability here, flank, and you switch with your Vestal is now in position 2 where she can't do anything. She can't stun, she can't use Divine Grace. So there's a problem with that. But overall, I'd say it's good. It also unimmobilizes the party. So if you are in the drowned crew and you're stuck, use this, and the guy is no longer stuck. The Sunward Isles boss fight with the Ghost Samurai, he likes to trap the entire party with immobilize. Whenever he shuffles and then immobilizes, but this breaks that, so this is actually really strong. So definitely consider using Tides of War. It's not as good for stalling as you might think, because you can't just move forward or back one. But you know, it's definitely a plus. I'll take it. So starting with his skills, you have Split, which hits the front 3 enemies, has decent accuracy, has a full damage mod, and pretty good crit chance. When you hit a marked target, you will always crit, unless your crit percentage is 0, which case you won't crit. You always clear the mark. But if you can't crit because your crit percentage is 0, you're saying, why the fuck? Why would your crit be 0? We'll get to that. You still clear the marked target, though. So this is, I never really open up with this. It's also kind of why it's good that he has low speed. Same thing with the Marvin Seo's, whatever the Sunlight Girl, what's she called? Ooh, Seraph. Yeah, Seraph. I knew that. So, because if you have a crow or a bounty hunter or an arbalist who goes faster than this guy, they get their mark bonus, and then he goes after and then he clears the mark. So you don't actually want him going first sometimes. But overall, Split's a really good ability. You always have Split. It's really good because it can hit row 3. Because a lot of the times you have really shitty abilities that can only hit row 2, and that really, this makes him more well-rounded, so you don't always have to use this ability flank. Sunder is the next ability. It hits front 2 targets for minus 33% damage mod, so you're doing more overall damage because you're hitting 2 targets for less than a minus 50% damage mod. Crit's okay. It does armor piercing. Now, oftentimes, this might not be more if you need to hit 1 armored target, it might just be better to do Split, especially if he's marked, because then you get the crit off. But this is good. What this also does, moves him back 1, and then it gives them a more crit received chance. So they get more crits from your other heroes. This is good. I like to have this, although it's not... it's okay. It's good in endless mode, because you can finish off shitty crystals. And this guy's a champ in endless mode. Now, flank is his best ability. It has lower accuracy than Split, which you will notice. It has a much higher crit, bypasses guard, which actually doesn't matter that much because usually you're going to kill people before they get guarded. Like the guards are slower and you're going to be faster than them. But what you do is you hit rows 2, 3, or 4. You do 120% damage versus row 3 and 140% damage versus row 4. So you're almost critting on row 4 enemies, which is so good. And you debuff them for -5 speed. And when you hit the back enemies, like madmen or cultist acolytes or really anything that goes quick in the back, they don't go quick anymore. And 104 debuff is a really strong debuff chance. This is so good. This is his best ability. Best damaging ability, anyway. Now next is Provoke, which is only ranged attack. It doesn't do any damage, despite the -95% damage, you might say. It debuffs the enemy for plus 20% damage received, and this tends to work again at 140% chance. And then it gives him, he self-marks, gives himself a riposte, which is very accurate, and crits really well. And this is a staple for one of the ways to play him, which is as a tank and a damage reflector. So there's really 2 ways I see to play this guy, but we'll get into that. So these are his 4 combat abilities. And then you have these 3 things called assignments, which are friendly skills, which I don't tend to use as much. Like if you want to just run and gun with this guy, you just run the first 4. But these other 3 can be pretty good. Charge takes a friendly skill, makes one guy move forward 1, and then you buff the whole party for 3 damage. And then when that guy gets a kill, everybody gets 12% accuracy. Not 12 accuracy, 12% accuracy. So this gets better when you have more than 100 accuracy, which most people do at high level. I don't really use this that much. I think what's holding me back is the forward 1, because a lot of times I don't like messing with my comp that much. But like if you have a guy in row 1, like a leper, who's like, or a crusader or anything in row 1, you just buff on this guy. I think the other problem with this is, unless you're really hurting for accuracy, you do plus 3 damage. So you could just hit him with the Exile, who does 10 to 14 damage, and if he has high proc, he has armor piercing. So like you don't really need to do this for the damage. It's not that good. Maybe you could do this for if you have a guy out of position, or like if Exile's in row 1, can't Sunder into row 3 to use flank, and then you have some guy in the back who can hit the back row that you need to kill, you could buff his damage. That could maybe be useful. But overall, I don't see this being that great. I never really use this. Track, I think, is the weakest of the 3. It buffs a target for 5 speed, and then when a non-lethal attack that blights or bleeds an enemy connects, it will mark them, which in turn allows the Exile to get more crits. I tend to just run regular markers, and I think there's better things he can be doing than this, but this is like mediocre. I guess the speed buff's nice, but then if you have a Plague Doctor who already has high speed and you buff 5 speed, you might go ahead of your healer, so that's not great. But I mean, hey, so like, you know, this is alright. Rally, I think, is the best of the 3 assignments. You make one guy go back 1, whole party gets -20% damage received, so that's fucking great. Basically a damage debuff, but on the opposite way. And then this does scale. So when you use a friendly skill, everyone gets healed 3 stress. This isn't 100% all the way. It goes up. It scales. And the cool thing is this works on himself. So if he casts Rally on himself, he moves himself back, and that counts. So then everyone gets healed 3 stress. That is what I tend to use this for, because I don't like moving back 1 the same as I don't like moving forward 1. Probably to a bigger degree. But if you use this back on himself, like if he's in row 1, which I don't like this guy being in row 1, you use this, then you're in row 2, then you can Sunder next turn, and then you can flank. The good thing is you can just like Tides of War if you don't need somebody in this bad position. Because Provoke's good from any rank. This is a good front 2. This is a good back 2. Like you really could just split and flank every single turn and you'd probably be fine. Only problem is flank will end up getting you to the front rows and you can't really move back, which is why you need Sunder. That's why Sunder's really good. But overall, these are really good base abilities. His camping skills are actually also nice. Reprimand. One guy gets 10 stress and is minus 50% stress in horror dealt. Drowned crew. This is a drowned crew fight. Throw this on your Hellion, or whoever the hell is going to be in row 1, and then the drowned crew is just so much less stressful. I wouldn't really use this anywhere else, because I'm not going to be like, yeah, this one guy is going to get less stress. Like, I don't care. Doesn't really matter to me that much. I'm not going to be singling out one dude. Unless maybe you're running a guard party, but other than that, I don't really use this. I've already beat the crew, so I haven't actually tried on the crew, but I'd imagine this is fantastic there. Scavenge is it's like your resupply or whatever the antiquarian has, or what the grave robber has, where you just produce random ass shit. Scouting chance 15% is nice, but the hound, I believe, for 30, that's just better. So I don't really use this. Like, I don't really care. I mean, I'd rather just use it in courage, honestly. Practice bout is really nice. 2 people get, one of them is the Exile, gets minus 10 stress, 5 accuracy, 10 crit. This is just a solid ability. This is, run this one on him and your other damage dealer, and you're gonna win. Fortify formation. Party gets less crit and more move resist. Move resist I don't really care about, because your abilities here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 of your 7 abilities move people in your party. So this doesn't really matter, because like everyone's getting moved anyway. But overall, this is good. Minus crits received is really nice if you're facing high crit monsters. I don't tend to run this that much. I probably should run this more, but I like buffing myself rather than like crits already a percentage chance. I can't count on crits happening. Like, I'd rather buff my accuracy, because accuracy is a solid thing. Crit is a chance, so it's good. But maybe you don't get crit, and then you've wasted this. And Know Thy Enemy is great to just spam this if you're going to mark somebody. And your whole party, you can use this 3 times. You can get 60% armor piercing versus marked. The Kraken King modded fight, that's trivial. A lot of the Sunward Isles big things, like the big blob monster with the sandals. He's easy to kill. The whale from Sunward Isles is easy to kill. The Warrens is so much easier because not really the bosses, but all the shitty pigs have prot. Ghouls are easier to kill. This is just such a nice ability. I don't tend to use this more than once. It's because I need a nighttime ambush. That's usually 4, and then I want to like lower someone's stress. So, well, this is always good. If I was to run 4 of these, I would definitely probably run Encourage over Reprimand. If I'm doing the Drowned Crew fight, I would run this. Otherwise, I just do this. And you get rid of Pep Talk. Pep Talk is like already kind of shit, so it doesn't matter. Now, for the ways to run this guy skills-wise, you could just do this, and you get your 4 things. Honestly, Provoke, this is okay. If you're in row 3 or 4 and you can't hit row 1, you could just Provoke and hope someone else kills him. There's a trinket that makes Provoke do damage, so that might be where you want this. But I would run Rally if I was going to run a pure damage dealing class. Because you start in row 4, you flank, and then you're in row 2, and then you Sunder, and then you flank, and then you split. Or you flank, and then you split, and then you like rally or something. I use rally to just get myself out of row 1, because row 1 means I have to use Sunder twice. And I don't want to bring a row 3 guy, row 4 guy into row 1 because with Tides of War, because that almost never is usually not a guy that can work in both rows 1 and 4. That's really rare. Now the second way to play this guy is as a damage reflection tank. So I would definitely I would still run Split and Sunder and Provoke. I don't know. I'd probably run Flank that way. I feel like maybe not. Maybe Charge. The thing is, like, you actually don't want to use Rally here because what you're doing is you're damage reflecting. So when you take less damage, you're not as effective. So we'll get into how to itemize this guy real quick. One of my favorite parts about the Exile is that Badger has made all the trinkets actually good. So starting with this one Exile uncommon trinket, 30% stress healing, 5 crit. 5 crit's good. What his crit effect is he crits, and everybody gets, their 3 stress taken away, because that's how crits work. Then he gives everybody a guaranteed another 3 stress. And then you have Rally. So this is good if you want to be a stress healer. I don't really like playing him as a stress healer because I have better stress healers, but this is okay if you don't have anything else, even if you just want 5 crit. Provoke, you make Provoke do 8 damage. Just flat 8 damage. It doesn't do more if you have plus damage trinkets on, I don't believe. And you take more damage received. This is more towards the tank build that he is. So I'll just bring that down there. Sentinel's badge. You bypass stealth. You do plus 4 damage minimum. Just like you likes to do 4 plus whatever your damage is versus stealth targets, and you de-stealth. I like to run this if I have no one else that can de-stealth. It's actually quite good. It depends on where you are. If you're is good in the cove because the fish people are in the back, and you use flank on your first turn anyway, so then this is good. This is good in Sunward Isles with the shitty, the umbrella people, whatever the hell they are. Now, this is quite good. I don't always run this, but I might. Bone Chime, you get more stress healing received at the top half of your health, and then you get more healing received if your stress is below 50. So ideally, you're always getting that healing received. But you might not be. This is like, okay, I think this is just a worse recovery charm. Like, because this is more towards the tank build, and that way you might not always be above 50% HP because you're getting hit all the time. And then if your stress is below 50, you might get crit, so this isn't actually as good as you think. It's useful, it's definitely interesting, but I don't tend to run it. Now, if you're running this guy as a damage dealer, stuff like this, like damage accuracy, speed, Ancestor's Pen, damage crit, just casual things like that. Up your speed, up your accuracy, up your damage. It's really simple. And then I would maybe run the Sentinel's badge. That's what I would do. Now, the other way to play this guy is play him as a damage reflection tank. So his Sunward Isles trinket gives you 50% damage reflection. And the bottom there, that goes with his 2 Crimson Core trinkets. You lose all your dodge, 100% dodge. And when your riposte hits, your party goes -2 stress. So this is really strong. So you would run this. Then you could run Provoke, and you get extra 20% damage received. And then this is something I found, 35% damage reflection. This is a better version of that, I think. You get 100% net damage reflection now, because you already have your 50. And then you get plus 40% damage received. So you could run this. I would either do that. I would drop this. Make you run a recovery charm. If you have good healing, if you have like a secondary healer and a main healer, I wouldn't run recovery charm. I would probably run these 3 things. And I would run split. I would run Sunder. I would run flank, and I would run Provoke. And I would actually start in position 2, and I would just have flank in case, and I need to use Sunder, and then I can go forward with flank. So I'll start in position 2, Provoke, then you would split all you want, and then if you ever need to use Sunder, and then you use flank the next turn to get back into position, unless you want to use Tides of War. Tides of War can fail, so that's why you have flank as your backup move, actually. So what you're getting here is you have 100% damage reflection. And you have 40% more damage received. And then you have a riposte. So someone hits you. Let's say they hit you for 10. You take 14. They take 14 back in their damage reflection. And then you hit them with your riposte, which does like another 10. They've taken 24 damage on their own fucking turn. That is so strong. That is unbelievably strong. The problem is if they crit you, and then you get crit strung and you die. That is a real threat. Because you aren't buffing your max HP, you have no dodge. So if you're on death's door, you're fucked. And you're low speed, so hopefully your healers can get you. But it's a very dangerous way to play him, but it could be rewarding and it could be very meme worthy. This is something I suggest you try out. And now this is my endless mode Exile. So Patient Blade, your riposte can't crit. I don't use riposte in endless mode. Endless mode I run Split, Sunder, Blank, and Rally. And I use Rally how I said before, how you just kind of use it on yourself and you go back. So your riposte can't hit. On monster kill, self knock back 2. That means you start position 4, you flank, you kill somebody, you go back into 4, and you just flank every single turn. Run this. Now, you have the Crystalline Trinket, plus 3 speed. Okay. Disable Tides of War. Okay, so that's why you have this, so you move back. And every action, you buff yourself for 2 max damage, which means your average damage goes up. Now I played this as a tester, and it went up by 3, so it won't be as good. But what you do is you take this, and it gets removed on crit. It normally goes till end of camp. But I don't want to run this normally, because you're just going to crit, especially with split, and then you're going to lose it, and it's kind of useless. It's a slow build-up. But you take this. You take something that negates crit chance. Negative 99999 crit chance. So you're never critting. Even with split, on the guaranteed crit, you're not critting. You take this. And now, you buff every single action 2 damage. And you have like 20 actions in endless mode. So your max damage becomes so fucking high. It's unreal. My range on one attack was 10 to 55. I did 54 damage. On a non-crit, I did 54 damage. It's so good. It's so fucking good. And then you buff this with other people that buff your damage. And then you just keep going. You just keep going. You win. Sadly, you never get more than... I think 55 was the max I saw. Because the rounds just kind of end because you're kicking so much ass. I guess if you just want to meme targets and just keep like rallying and then you emboldening vapors or you somehow otherwise buff your damage, you could probably get some stupid high numbers with this, but I wouldn't do that. But this is a great way to do it. So you start before you flank. If you don't get a kill, you just keep splitting and sundering until you get a kill, and then you go back and you just flank and you keep doing that. I don't want to run the damage reflection mode in endless mode because it's too high risk. That works on some things. I'm kind of scared to run that, honestly, but you do you. It's alright. This works quite well. Alright, I don't have all the trinkets, even though I'm a tester, because I suck. So I'm going to look at some of the other ones here. Mournful Whale, debuff skill chance versus marked. Minus 30% HP, and you deal 4 damage to all marked enemies. Now, I don't like this. You do debuff skill chance versus marked. The best debuff is flank, which doesn't get damage bonuses versus marked targets, and that's on your first turn. So you're not likely going to have marks already, and 30% HP means you can't use this as your tank build, so I don't really use this that much. Well, I don't have it, but I wouldn't use this, like, ever. And now, these 3, Sunward and Crimson Court, have the same bonus. Starting with Odium, which is one of the Crimson Court. Sunder, disable self knockback. I already don't like this, because I use Sunder for the knockback. And then you buff Sunder crit. Like, I guess you could just keep Sunder memeing. But, like, I wouldn't use it. And this, when hit, you regenerate 1 HP, and then you guard an ally on a friendly skill. I don't use the friendly skills enough to where I'd want to do this. In fact, I use them on myself, and you can't guard yourself. So I wouldn't use this either. And then the 30% damage reflection isn't actually as good as just using the other damage reflection stuff that I mentioned. In Riposte Armor Piercing, I don't care. I do damage reflection, which already pierces armor. So the trinket that I don't have, I'm not really looking forward to. This is cool artwork, I guess. But use the ones that I was just showing you guys. Now the Exile works best with mark parties, as one would think. I like to use them with the Inquisitor and the Crow, 2 classes by Spyboy. I prefer Rescuers as well, because the Rescuer has Herding Master, which is a quirk that gives Herding Tactics, which hits all 4 enemies a chance to mark, which means he's marking 4 people at once. So you do that, and then you have bunch of Mark Synergy classes, and then you just win. That's what I did on my endless mode run. That's what this little lineup here is at the bottom. It's Inquisitor, Rescuer, Crow, Exile, and that did me very well. A few other things to note: the Exile is non-religious, so he has no weird things where he can't party with people. I want to note that his artwork is fucking amazing. That's the reason why I started testing this class, it's because he looked cool. And I want to say thank you for watching this video. Check out my channel if you want to see other guides about classes and how to play modded Darkest Dungeon. Peace out.